Hey guys, it's Julia from Next Door Fangirl, and today we are going to be discussing Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So this book is the first in the Throne of Glass series, which is projected to have about 6 books. 3 of them are currently out, including this one, and the 4th is scheduled to come out on September 1st, 2015. So that's really, really exciting. I really enjoyed this book, so I think I'm going to really like this series. So I'm really excited to read it all and learn more about this world and these characters. As some of you may know, before I read this book, I actually read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. This is a bind-up of novellas that occur before this book happens. So it kind of gives you more of a background on what happens in this book, and you're kind of keyed into more of the things. You're more familiar with some of the stuff that Celaena references. Whereas if you didn't read this book, this one may leave you with more questions. I don't think that one experience is necessarily better than the other. I think if you read this first, you're still going to have a great time. I know a lot of people have read this one first. Just because I've read this book does not mean that I understand all of Celaena's backstory. It just means that I know a bit more about her life before she went to Endovier. So that was just my experience. Let me know what your experience was down below. I know a lot of people have read Throne of Glass first. Some people have read all the books in the series and haven't even read this yet. I would definitely suggest reading it, but I don't know that there's particularly an order that you should read it in. So this book takes place in the world of juelighae, and the story follows Celaena, who is a 17-year-old assassin who was sentenced to work in a death camp called Endovier for her crimes. Now she's being pulled out of the camp by Dorian, who is Prince of Adarlan, which is the empire that we are in. And his father, the king, is having a competition to find out who is the best assassin in all the land, to be his personal assassin, to be his champion. And so Celaena has to face 23 other assassins and thieves and soldiers and murderers to win this title. And there are different tests and duels, and it's really exciting. It's a high fantasy book. It takes place in a fantasy world. There is magic and romance and humor and adventure and action and violence, and this book really just has everything. It has so much, and it's so good. I mean, it wasn't my favorite book that I've ever read or anything, but it was really, really enjoyable, and I'm really looking forward to reading the following books because I hear that it just keeps getting better and better with each book, and that's so exciting because this is a pretty good book, I think this series has a lot of promise. Celaena is just a really kick-ass character. She's so cool. If you like cool heroines who can really just stand up for themselves, who, strong, independent women who don't need no man, this book is for you. That is Celaena. So I think that's it for the non-spoilers part. So we're going to go into some spoilers now. If you have not read this book, I do suggest that you go pick it up and come back and watch the rest of this video. But for now, goodbye. We're going to talk about some spoilers. Okay, so first I just want to talk about some of the characters. Obviously our main character is Celaena. I talk a lot about my reaction to her in my review for The Assassin's Blade, so if you've read that and you want to know more about my opinions on Celaena, go check that one out. I don't want to be too repetitive, but she's a lot different at the beginning of this book than she was in the beginning of The Assassin's Blade. So Celaena's been in this death camp for a year, so she's very weak in the beginning of the book. She's very vulnerable, but she still does have that spark of defiance in her, and I think that is really just who Celaena is. But yeah, Celaena's an interesting character because even though she is our main character, we don't really know that much about her. We know a lot about her now, and we know a bit about her before she was sent to Endovier. You know more if you read The Assassin's Blade, but even then you still don't know that much about when she was a kid and how Arobynn Hamel, the King of Assassins, found her. We learn a little bit about her parents in this book from Cain, so we know that Celaena crawled into her parents' bed not knowing that they were dead, and she thought that the dampness was just the rain when really it was their blood, and just this horrible scene that I really want to learn a lot more about because I don't know what happened. I think I was watching Christine on Polomea Books' review for this book, and she thought that maybe Arobynn had killed her parents, so I don't know if that's it. I think that maybe they were magic, and because the King of Adarlan has outlawed magic, he killed them, because we know that Celaena used to have magic. So I don't know, it's all really shrouded in mystery, and I think that's cool, but like I want to know, so I have to read the rest of the series. So Dorian, Prince Dorian Havillard, let me look up the pronunciation. Sarah J. Maas does have a pronunciation guide for this book. All you have to do is look up Throne of Glass pronunciation guide and you will find how to pronounce a bunch of stuff. It's really helpful. Here we go. Dorian Havillard. So Prince Dorian Havillard. He is one of the contenders for Selena's heart. He's one of the guys in the love triangle. The other guy is K.L. Westfall, who is captain of the guard and Dorian's very good friend. And okay, let's just talk about the love triangle for a little bit. I haven't been able to decide in this book who I ship, because I know a lot of people ship Dorian and Selena, and they say their endgame. It's Solorian is the name. They say their endgame and whatever, and I think that might be true. But like when I started reading this book, I was totally Team Kale. I was like, bro, he's so much like, I don't know. A lot of people say he's kind of like 4 from Divergent. And I see that, like, he's kind of like Divergent and Insurgent 4. After I got into like Allegiant 4, once we were reading his head, I like just didn't really like 4 anymore. But I can see where he's like Divergent and Insurgent 4. He's very like business oriented. He's really professional. He behaves himself. Whereas Dorian's just kind of joking around all the time. And like, Kale's kind of like more mysterious, and that's kind of like Selena. And oh my god, it's so hard because I like them both and they're so good. And they bring out different sides of Selena, and I think that they view her differently. Like, and we see these different views when we see both of their reactions to Selena sleeping, because they're like always creeping into her room, which is a little weird, but whatever, we'll let it slide. Dorian just sees her as very peaceful and like not dangerous. He says not a trace of aggression or bloodlust lay across her features. He knew she wouldn't harm him, and he just doesn't see her as dangerous in that moment, which is in complete contrast to what Kale thinks, because, well, first off, Kale like comes in and sees Dorian watching Selena sleep, and Kale's all, what are you doing here? And Dorian's all like, what are you doing here? And Kale's like, my god, Dorian, she's an assassin, get over yourself. Meanwhile, Kale's got a little crush on her, but he's not owning up to that. But then Dorian leaves, and Kale is watching her, and Kale says she was still in her clothes, and while she looked beautiful, that did nothing to mask the killing potential that lay beneath. It was present in her strong jaw and the slope of her eyebrows and the perfect stillness of her form. She was a honed blade made by the king of assassins for his own profit. She was a sleeping animal, a mountain cat or a dragon, and her markings of power were everywhere. So we see the difference in how Dorian and Kale view her. Dorian, I think, kind of doesn't want to view her as an assassin. He wants to kind of like forget about that part of her, which isn't really good because that's who she is. That's how she's been raised. Whereas Kale is always so cautious around her, and I think he respects her more. Because there's that scene, hold up. Because there's a scene where one of the other competitors is bad-mouthing Selena, and she's trying to defend herself, and afterwards she turns to Kale and she's like, well, thanks for helping me, and he's like, you don't need my help. Whereas Dorian, I think, views her more as a lady, and maybe that's just because that's how he's more used to seeing her, whereas Kale is the one that's training with her and he can see her potential as a killer and as an assassin. Like in the final battle, Dorian is like, I should have done something, I should be helping her, and he says I should have stopped it as soon as Kane hit her. And he kind of, I think, treats her more delicately, and I don't think that's good for Selena because she's not someone that needs to be treated delicately. So I think that would bother her if she knew that he was thinking all that, but at the same time, maybe she would like it because it's like, he's probably like one of the only people that's ever really thought that way. I don't know, of course, except for Sam, who you know if you have read The Assassin's Blade. It's funny, there must be a really different relationship between the reader and Sam if you've read The Assassin's Blade before this or after. It's kind of like Star Wars. I know you're supposed to watch episodes 4 through 6, then episodes 1 through 3. I unfortunately watched it 1 through 6, just like straight chronologically in their world, not in release dates. But there's a very different relationship between the viewer and Darth Vader depending on how you watch it. If you watch the original trilogy, episodes 4 through 6 first, you view Vader as the villain because he is, and you don't know anything about his backstory, of course, until, you know, the whole "I am your father." But until then, he's just the bad guy, and, you know, you have those feelings towards him, whereas if you watch episodes 1 through 3, the prequel trilogy, before the original trilogy, then you kind of feel sympathy towards Vader because you view him more as a tragic character because he's, you know that he's Anakin Skywalker and that he's just a little messed up. So there's a very different relationship between the character and the viewer. And I think that happens in this with Sam, depending on which book you read first. But tell me what you guys think about that down below in the comments. The whole, I love how she does the, I will not be afraid thing because Sam taught her that in the Assassin's Blade, and I was just like, Sam. So that's Dorian. Then we have Kale Westfell, who's captain of the guard, and like I said, he's a lot more mysterious than Dorian. You don't know as much about him. He's not as open, he's not as playful, he's very professional, very serious, and he's very wary around Selena, as he probably should be, because she is an assassin. But you kind of see him soften up as it goes along, and I don't know, I loved he was more, he's not described as being handsome like Dorian is. Like, I think like Dorian probably looks a bit like Will Herondale, and she's probably like really hot. Maybe not as hot as Will Herondale, because that's pretty tough. But I think Dorian's definitely like a really, really good looking guy. And then Kale, he's described more as rugged, and I don't know, that's attractive too though. Like, he's more, I feel like he's more manly, and Dorian's like kind of a pretty boy. Then we have Nehemia Yetgar, which is how it's pronounced because I checked it up on the pronunciation guide. Let me double check that. No, that's a heme. So Nehemia, and then Yetgar, like Garson, so Yetgar. So Nehemia Yetgar. Okay. Nehemia, I like Nehemia. I think that she's a good friend. This is another like situation where you get more background if you've read the Assassin's Blade, because you know about what happened with some of Selena's previous friends and why she's a bit wary. Someone's barking. And why she's a bit wary of trusting Nehemia. I won't give anything away. But I really liked Nehemia. I thought she was a really cool character. She's so badass with her, what's it called? Spear? That's not... Staff. Staff. It's called a staff. I kind of picture her wielding it like Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. If you watch season 4 of Game of Thrones, and he's just kind of like badass, like pew, pew. Yeah, I feel like she's definitely really cool and like really agile and stuff, and just like whoosh. I look like an airbender right now. Oh, Julia, you're so talented and so clever. Oh, thank you, viewer. Thank you very much. So yeah, Nehemia. The whole thing where Selena starts to like doubt Nehemia and she thinks that she's responsible for all like the murders. I don't know, I kind of felt like that was like just Sarah J. Maas like trying to throw us off of Kane's trail, because Kane was like the obvious choice and he was the end choice. I think the scene where you really know it's Kane is when he comes up to Selena in the hallway and he's like holding his throat, like choking himself. Because I don't think that Kane did what he did on his own will. I think that Parrington like possessed him or something with this creepy ring, because he did the same thing to Caltaine, who just sucks, but whatever. In that scene, I think that Kane's like trying to tell Selena like, you know, like something's up, but there's this disconnect between his mind and his body, and you know, whatever is possessing him isn't allowing him to tell her, and I think that he was trying to get her help in that scene. And like when he's like polishing the word marks and stuff, it's just, it's weird. I do hope though that we learn more about that. Like, was that really Kane, or was that something that was possessing him? Was it that weird shadow demon thing that Selena sees in the final duel? Because I don't think it was him. Okay, and we have like Caltaine and Parrington. Caltaine is, that's how you say her name, right? Caltaine Rompier. It's kind of like French. Rompier. My lovely French accent, guys. Don't be jealous. I'm clearly multilingual. We have Caltaine Rompier and Duke Parrington, and these two just kind of suck as human beings. Caltaine has like a similar story to Kane, where Parrington's like messing with her with like demonic possession and stuff, so like kind of sucks for her, but you know what, whatever. Those headaches that she was having, I think that was all a side effect of what Parrington was doing. And Parrington is just like a little creep. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite scene from this book. Okay, so my favorite scene of this book is when Selena and Varen have to spar against each other. and Varen is making fun of Celaena beforehand. Oh yeah, he comes up to her and he says something, and then Nox stands up for her. Oh, Nox, let's talk about Nox for a minute. I like Nox. I hope he comes back. That's all I really have to say about him. I don't know, did you guys like him? I thought, you know, I mean, I was like, when she was training him, I was like, really? I guess she knew that he wasn't going to be a threat to her, but it's not really smart to train your competition. But whatever. I hope we see him again. I like how he kind of snuck out, so I don't think that he left with permission. So maybe he's in trouble. I don't know. I don't know. I like him. I want to see him again now. And then Varen essentially calls her a slut, and she fires back at him. And Brillo's like, alright, you two, take it out in the ring. That's how Brillo talks for some reason. And then, this part is just so good. Varen raised his sword, shaking his blonde curls out of his eyes. Let's see what you've got. She stalked toward him. Keeping her sword sheathed at her side, Varen's grin widened as he lifted the blade. He swung, but Celaena struck, ramming her fist into his arm, sending the blade soaring through the air. In the same breath, her palm hit his left arm, knocking it aside too. As he staggered back, her leg came up and Varen's eyes bulged as her foot slammed into his chest. The kick sent him flying, and his body crunched as it hit the floor and slid out of the ring, instantly eliminating him. The hall was utterly silent. Mock me again, she spat at Varen, and I'll do that with my sword the next time. She turned from him and found Brillo's face slack. Here's a lesson for you, weapons master, she said, stalking past him. Give me real men to fight. Then maybe I'll bother trying. And that was the, whoa, Celaena. Oh my god, I loved her in that part. It was just like, she had finally had enough with all the guys mocking her and making fun of her for being a girl, and she was like, you know what, I'm not holding back anymore, I'm gonna kick the shit out of this guy. And Kale didn't even mind, because he knew that Varen deserved it. I just love this scene so much. I can't, like, if they better make a movie, or like a TV show, this would be a better TV show than it would movie. It would be like a Game of Thrones type thing, or even like a Shadowhunters type thing, because it's more like that age appropriate level. I think like it needs a TV show to really explore like the whole world. Like when you have books with that much story and that much mythology built into them, it really needs more, I think, than a movie to develop it all. But anyway, I would love to see that scene on screen, so hopefully I get to one day. And if they cut out that scene, whether they make a movie or a TV show, I will be very angry. So don't cut it out, future people who are making this movie/TV show about Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Okay. So, we have, like, these scenes with Elena, and I don't know, they all seemed a little, I don't want to say cheesy, I don't know, they were all very, like, mystical and stuff. Just all of a sudden, like, the spirit queen fairy lady just stand there like, Celaena, you must help us in these dark times. And Celaena's like, alright girlfriend, I'll help you out. Because that's how Celaena talks. Don't you love my impressions of characters? Like the first dream that she had was a little weird, but like, I mean, it kind of was to build up the world, I guess. This book has to have a lot of world building because there's a really, really big world to explore. And it's got to set the groundwork for 6 books. So I'll let that one slide. The second one seemed a little unnecessary. I have in my notes like, Elena could have just like left Celaena a note. She didn't have to wake her, or semi-wake her up in her dream state. I feel like she could have just left a note that said, look to your left, and all would have been good. Pellar, I hope we see Pellar again. He was kind of cool. I feel like he would be a good kid apprentice to Celaena. And then the final duel scene with Celaena and with Elena. Celaena and Elena. The final duel scene with Celaena and Cain and all like that skeleton army. Just the White Walkers. Winter's coming. It was an army of White Walkers, and it was the word gate opened into Westeros. Game of Thrones of Glass. Let's talk about that crossover. Some people have their super Hulak. Some people have their Game of Thrones of Glass. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, speaking of Game of Thrones, I was watching, again, Christine's review on this book, and she compared Holland, who's Dorian's little brother, to Joffrey. Which, I mean, I don't know. I can kind of see it, but I don't think Holland is on the same level as Joffrey, because no one is on the same level of horrible as Joffrey. So anyway, the final battle scene, for me it seemed a little drawn out, a little overly dramatic. And like I was really confused about what everyone else in the arena or in the crowd was thinking. Like they're just watching Celaena, obviously drugged, mind you, on the floor, flailing about, fending off creatures that weren't there according to them. Oh, I love the scene with the chalk line and Kale and Celaena, and it's just like, oh, maybe they should be my ship. I don't know who should be my ship. It's so tough. Yeah, I was like, what was the crowd thinking about all of that? It was a weird scene. It was interesting, but I think it could have been shorter. I think it was a little overly dramatic. And then there's the thing on Celaena's forehead, and I'm not sure like what that's all about, because Nehemia, there's a scene earlier, like early in the book, where like Nehemia just keeps looking at Celaena's brow. And then like at the end, everyone like sees the mark on her brow during the final duel. And then like in like the very last, is that the last scene? I don't know, one of like the very last scenes, the king is like talking about it. So I don't know, it's weird. I don't know. I want to know more about it though, so that's a good thing. Like, is it always there? Can everyone see it? Can only some people see it? I'm very, very curious. Oh, okay, and then there's that part where Elena's like, blood ties can't be broken. And I was like, okay, so are you and Celaena related? Because that would mean that Celaena and Dorian are related, which isn't okay because there's some, you know, incest there. So that part's concerning to me. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say for Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I did enjoy this book. I really liked it. It was really good. I'm really excited to read the next book. I'm going to start it tomorrow. Let me know what you guys thought about this book down below. You can follow me on Twitter at juelighae, or on Instagram, again, at juelighae. Check out my Goodreads account and my review for this book. I will leave links to that down below, along with a link to my blog. I'm trying to get like all my social media up, and I'm trying to keep it up to date. So yeah, please check it out if you have the time, if you're interested. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I'm Julia. Live long and nerd on, guys. Also, let me know what you think of that outro. Should I keep doing that? Should I find something else? You let me know, because I'm all about the connection here between me and this juelighae. That is my camera lens. Kidding, between me and my viewers, who I am appreciative and I love and I'm grateful for. Thank you. Thank you. Alright. Bye guys. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Julia Lee. No, I'm not at Julia Lee. I'm at Julia E. Game of Thrones, man. It blows your mind.